I saw him coming to the house. He had finished with his chore. "Is it tea time yet?" he asked at the open door. To help one to relax, there's nothing like a spot of tea. It's a daily ritual for my love and me. We sit and sip and talk, and sometimes dunk our toast. He talks about his dreams and the things he likes the most. I was 4 years old. He worked for my father. My dad was pretty sick. He was in World War I and had been gassed, and so he was having a bad summer, and so Harold was helping him. I remember when it was time for Harold to come in to eat, I would go out to the field and call him, and then he would carry me back on his shoulders. He was carrying me then, he's been carrying me many years later too. It's the weirdest romance you ever heard tell of. Well, there just wasn't any. Most of it was by letter, I guess, because he was overseas. It was during the war, and I was in St. Paul. I was working for Northwest Airlines. I was Rosie the Riveter. Well, he had an interest, but I wasn't sure. He didn't get down on his knee or anything. No, I don't have very interesting stories about my romance. I guess I just figured, well, God must have meant it for us to be together, because here we were. He was discharged the 28th of October, and we were married the 6th of November. When we were first married, we didn't have a home to go to, so we stayed with my parents for a couple of weeks, and then Harold bought a place, and we spent the winter there. And he was going to just loaf around all winter, relax. Well, he didn't do much relaxing. He got a job driving the milk truck for the Nimrod Creamery, and he would drive around the area and pick up cans of cream. It wasn't in a big bulk tank, it was in cans. And the cans were everywhere. They were in springs, in cooling tanks, in the river. Really interesting picking up all the milk. And then he had the old truck, I guess because he thought he was capable of handling it. One day he's driving down this highway and one of the wheels went rolling past. Michael was watching something on television. Stephen came in from outside and went over to the TV and switched the channel. Of course, that made Mike mad, and so there was a big, they weren't actually fighting, but big mouth words, you know. And Grandpa, he got up, never said a word. He got up and left the room. In fact, he went outside and he came back in with a big mallet. Went over and smashed the television. Nobody said a word. He never said a word either. Just went over, smashed the television, walked back out and put the tool away, and came back in the house. We never had television for quite some time after that. We were, some friends had a building where they had stored firewood. So they didn't use that wood anymore, so they said we could have it. So we were hauling that wood from their house to our house by trailer loads. We'd get a trailer load every day. And this was our very last load. We had loaded our trailer and he drove it up to the house. He drove the car to the house, just like we always did. I went in the house to see if Tressie was ready for us, and she was, so I signaled out the door for him to come in. And we waited and waited, and he didn't show. And so I looked out the window, and here he lay on the ground. So we rushed out there, and of course he was already gone, but then the funeral man had another funeral, so he couldn't come and pick up the body. So the ambulance man said, "Would you like me to take his body in so he doesn't have to lay here on the ground?" This was the 9th of November, and there wasn't any snow. And so he picked up the body and took it into town for me. And then just before he left, he came in and said, "Can I give you a hug?" So he gave me a hug, and then he left. It all happened so quickly. But I was always glad that he didn't have to lay somewhere and suffer. Somewhere over the rainbow, beyond the sunset too, they say there is a golden land where all one's dreams come true. But since I'm not a traveler, I don't get far, my dear. I'll stay here where my heart is, and we'll build our dream right here. It's just a little country spot, but God is all around. He has made it beautiful, and love and peace abound. It's here we'll spend our latter days amidst His grand display, and may He grant us peace of mind until our dying day.